Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we're looking at the Javelin mech. The Javelin was first built in 2751 by Stormvanger Assemblies Unlimited as a recon mech meant to be exported to the member states of the Star League. A compromise between speed and firepower, the Javelin was fast enough to avoid engagements with heavier mechs while still having sufficient firepower to dissuade pursuit. In particular, the mech's maneuverability meant that it was its main function as to or its main function was to perform reconnaissance. The Javelin became adept at conducting ambushes, gaining a reputation for appearing out of nowhere and giving rise to the phrase sneaky as a javelin. Let's see, the Javelin had yet to be integrated into most of the Starleague Defense Force regiments when the Ameris Civil War struck and Stormvanger Assembly's factory on Cap was destroyed in 2774, ending all production of the Javelin design. Despite this, the Federated Sons, who had purchased the largest total number of javelins from Stavanger assemblies, succeeded in their plans to incorporate the design into particularly all of their mech regiments at the start of the First Succession War. There was, or where its appearance took many enemy combatants off guard. Though employed by varying degrees by the successor states, the javelin quickly became synonymous with the Federated Sons, oft, often anchoring scout lances or, in certain units, teaming up with other javelins to create mobile fire support lances. Following the creation of the Federated Commonwealth, the design was upgraded to newly recovered lost tech during the latter part of the 3040s. And at the behest of AFFC High Command, Jalistar Aerospace began production of the new Javelins in 3055. Since then, the sturdy and reliable Scout Mech has continued to serve with distinction on the battlefield, though the original's level of armor protection has been deemed as insufficient by some. New variants continue to be introduced as technology progresses, ensuring its continued service into the 32nd century. Weapons and equipment here. The Javelin uh, carries a limited amount of weapons, consisting of only two Aerolite SRM-6 launchers, one on each um side of the torso, one on the left, one on the right, with 1 ton of ammunition per launcher. This makes the Javelin highly reliant on good supply lines and can hamper the mech if it is forced into guerrilla combat. Though with 1 ton of ammo per launcher, it has sufficient endurance for most battles. As a close support mech, it is highly adept at swooping in and helping deliver the final blow, especially as its scattering missiles can exploit and cripple exposed systems. However, its light armor makes the Javelin ill suited for hand to hand brawling. Notably, the aerolites and their ammunition stores are placed so far forward in the mech's torso that the Javelin has a front heavy center of gravity, causing mech warriors unfamiliar with the design forward leaning while running to be prone to falling over while moving at high speeds in difficult terrain. With reliable GM 180 engines, the Javelin benefits from a good cruising speed of 64 kilometers an hour, while six rolling 95 jump jets, two in each leg, and the remainder in the rear center torso, providing a good maneuverability and a total jumping distance of 180 meters. 4 tons of armor allow it to survive most surprise encounters and retreat to safety, with a half-ton protecting the chest, side torsos, and legs each. 10 single heat sinks mounted in the engine are sufficient cooling for the mech. So, all the different variants that we have here, and there are a few. Okay, so the Javelin 10A. Introduced in 2752, the 10A is a long range harasser. Both SRM-6 racks were replaced by LRM-15s in the right torso with 1 ton of reloads. Um, so taking out two sixes for a 15 is pretty notable, but yeah, it's still that same issue with relying on ammo. All right, we have the 10F, the only succession war variant, also known as the Fire Javelin. The 10F was introduced in 2819 and is the complete opposite of the 10N model, as it removes both of the SRM-6 launchers in favor of four diverse optics, Type 20 medium lasers, and 2 tons of armor. While less reliant on expendable ammunition stores, this variant is also more susceptible to overheating if the lasers are used simultaneously with the jump jets. The 10P. The 10P model is an upgrade of the 10N model introduced by the Federated Commonwealth amid much secrecy in 3049. The 10P retains the armor and speed profile of the 10N, but removes one of the SRM-6 launchers and replaces it with two HoverTech Streak SRM-2 launchers. While sacrificing slightly in terms of firepower, this variant is far more ammo efficient than the original. The 11A, the second version of the Javelin to carry the Moncure of Fire Javelin. Uh, this upgrade of the 10F was introduced following the clan invasion in 3053. It mounts several medium lasers, using double heat sinks to counter the massive amount of heat that can build up from using so many energy weapons. Conventional armor was also swapped out for ferrofibrous, and an additional ton was added to increase the overall protection of the Javelin. This design was fielded as a refit often seen after other units had cast off their old parts. We have the 10 Bravo. The 10 Bravo is a scout design introduced in 3054 that replaces the SRM-6 launchers with twin SRM-4s so that it can mount a Beagle active probe and Guardian ECM suite. Additional ferrofibrous armor gives the 11 Bravo more than 40% increase in protection, but the inclusion of case necessitated dropping the jump jets. An upgrade to the double heat sinks provides ample cooling, though. We have the 11 Delta. The Javelin 11D model was an upgrade to the 10F introduced in 3062, and as such, also arguably a fire javelin subtype. It carries three medium ER lasers and two medium pulse lasers mated to an advanced targeting computer, as well as the Wonderland C3 slave unit. The engine has been upgraded to an extra light model, and the structure has been replaced with the endosteel internal structure. This model was the main variant of the Javelin produced during the Jihad. We also have the 11 Foxtrot, also produced during the Jihad. This variant was introduced in 3070 and removes the weapons equipment of the 11 Delta to carry a snub nose PPC supplemented by 2 tons of machine guns. Two trios, I'm sorry, of machine guns, with each trio linked through the machine gun array. This low heat model is devastating to unarmored infantry, though it is less prevalent than the 11D within the AFFS. Let's see, we also have the 11P, produced for the Filtavent Coalition, if I can only speak that one very well. This variant uses ferrofibrous armor for protection, um, but to prevent overheating the 10 single heat sinks, it uses a quartet of Streak SRM2s with a ton of ammunition. And then we also have a 12N. The 12N represents a return to the classic missile armed striker profile of the Jalstar Aerospace, but with more modernized loadout. The 12N carries two Clantech SRM 6s and a head mounted tag. For internals, the 12N carries a 240XL engine, 8 jump jets enable a 250-meter jump distance, and 10 double heat sinks. The SRM 6 launchers are supplied by 2 tons of ammunition stored in Case 2 bins. We also have a custom variant, or two of them. All right, the Javelin 10F. This personal mech of Edward Shinto McNeil, originally a stock fire javelin. By the clan invasion era, McNeil took advantage of recovered technology to switch to double heat sinks to overcome the heat concerns that hampered the variant. And we also have a 11 Delta Javelin Feral. This variant of the Javelin was used by Robert Bob Farrell, a mech warrior who worked alongside the bounty hunter. This version removes the C3 slave unit of the standard 11D and replaces it with a Clan Tech active probe. The weapons have been reworked as well, with this version mounting 3 medium lasers and 2 medium X pulse lasers. All tied into a targeting computer, the armor engine and chassis remain identical to the standard Javelin 11 Delta. All right, so farther on down, we have all the wonderful pictures, which I do apologize. I've kind of skipped out on this on some of them. This is the original one that was done up by Luce, very well showcasing how big that chest extends out there, giving it that slightly awkward feel when you're kind of running with it, as stated before. And then once we start getting some other views, now you can still see that this is a little top heavy. And we have the SRM6 on the one side and the SRM4 on the other. Or at least it looks like an SRM4 could possibly be two Streak SRM2s. This is the 10P, so take that for what it is. We also have another version of the 10P drawn here with drop ships in the distance. Looks like it is probably doing either a jump or possibly um, being ejected out of the dropship itself without being in a cocoon. All right, we have a clan version. So with this version, it looks like we do have two clan or SRM6s, and it still has that very far forward kind of look to it. This is this looks like it is one of the cardstock miniatures that we used to get out of the old beginning box set, or actually, shall I say, we had one box set that was called Reinforcements, which gave us a booklet which just had a bunch of the different mechs, and of course the cards. So this would have been a front, and the back would have just been kind of blacked out. Let's see. This is a book cover of for the Javelin. Trading card, collector card game, unlimited Javelin. And then we have a newer model take of it. Now this one has got the SRMs kind of sunken in a little bit more. This is the Mech Warrior Online as it's been reimagined. And last but not least, here is one of the old plastic Javelin miniatures. And this would have been from one of the original starting box sets from way back when. It says City Tech Second Edition. All right. With that being said, let's get into looking at our Javelin in our D6 stats. I did find the price on this. It's not listed here on Sarna.net. Took a little extra looking up to do, but we do have that in here. All right. So this went a little bit easier. taking everything out from the commando and putting in everything for the javelin, seeing that I'm just kind of, you know, rehashing the same starting stats to keep things going. Now, of course, this is the javelin. This is actually the 10N. I didn't list it specifically. Walker scale. Uh, the height here. Now, I don't know what to change it to, if it really needs to be changed or not. So I have left this at 8 meters tall. We still only have the crew of one, no passengers. Cargo capacity is 25 kilograms. Now, the cost for the Javelin, because this is a 30-ton mech, is 2,330,640 seaballs. This is a ground altitude, although it does have its jump. Maneuverability, I've left this, and I still have not really tackled into the maneuverability. So this might stay for quite a while, a 2D plus one. Not certain where I should really change things up here, and I'm just being honest here. Uh, Oddly enough, we have the same move as what the Commando had, so we're still at the same speed of 97 kilometers an hour. Although the Commando did not have jump jets where we do here, and we can jump out to 180 meters. Being 30 tons, that takes us up to a body strength of 3D, or just giving it the 64 armor points if you're just trying to shoot at it in that regard. Weapons really kind of got stripped down from everything else that we've had in here, being just two SRM6s. Fire control is being left at a 2D. And then, of course, oops, I got to change a little bit here because suddenly now this has all been. I had more weapons listed, and now it doesn't have as many weapons. So I apologize. I have to kind of redo that. Okay, the damage is 4D for the first missile, um, 1D for every additional. So we're going to end up with about a 9D for the SRM6s. If you're just shooting all 6 missiles every time, it's going to be a 9D. And again, I've left it this way because if you just want to shoot one missile at a time, it gives us that damage per missile. Just leaving it in that regard. Although I think most people will probably just say, hey, I'll just shoot all 6. And of course, if we're shooting both SRMs, that's going to be 18 dice worth of missiles being shot at whoever. And these are front facing, although it's not center torso. I do suppose I should change that. Um, we have left torso slash right torso. All right. So not too much here as far as stats go for changing things up or whatever else, and it's fine. I mean, it's light mechs typically are more of recon mechs and stuff like that. Personally, I think if I ever had my druthers to just take this, and one of the beautiful things with BattleTech is just being able to change things up. I think I'd probably take out an SRM6 and throw in some medium lasers just to make sure I wasn't fully reliant on uh, the ammunition storage. Uh, but that's just me. If I was doing this as the role playing game, adding it into say Star Wars or doing it as a BattleTech role playing game, I would leave it the way it is because that's the way it's designed. That's the big difference. Putting this out here as just the role playing game, I'm not really going to really muck with them all that much, I don't think. But we have that availability. It doesn't mean that we can't. It just means that this is where we start from. So just going from there. With that being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's always wonderful having you here. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.